that, and we expect again to have the full 3 groups. The first session this morning was pretty damp. We're in a lot of takers, so they just ran them as sort of everybody in the pool and made it one race group or run group. Now we're going to have them broken up again, which makes sure everybody gets a lot of open track to be able to really press the issue just a little bit. And in each one of these 3 groups, we've got some really good battles in terms of times going for the weekend win. And, of course, this is the final round, so there's a season championship. And a few of the classes coming in here, the battles up at the top end of things were fairly snug. So there's lots to play for, lots to drive fast for right now.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the track conditions. The weather has cooled down, so I think this is going to be a good opportunity for drivers to go faster. The dampness that was around this morning is essentially gone, so that should be an advantage as well compared to this morning. We had a pretty, what I'd call a throwaway session this morning.
Yes,
really not any opportunity to go quicker, but it was an opportunity to learn. And Jackie Ding was one of the drivers out there taking advantage of the low grip session, trying to learn how that car would handle. And look who's out here, Ferris Cartoony.
He decided to hang around and give it another go, and I think these conditions, he said yesterday, he really believes there's a 205 in this car. The problem with the overheating was twofold. Obviously, when you overheat, you lose a little bit of power, but also the overheating was forcing spray to come out of the car, and it was getting onto the left rear tire, which going through the carousel, and especially the kink, he was saying, I wasn't anywhere near the limit because the car, I didn't have the grip. And he said he figured out a way to solve that problem. And he said, we do have a couple hundred more horsepower, I should make that clear, that we have access to here, but the overheating is the issue. Well, it's a lot cooler today. And so they might just be able to dip into that just a little bit. So the 205, there's a lot of talk coming in here. Would he be able to get sub 2 minutes? I'm not sure we're going to see that, but I think he could get, well, he could certainly get below a 207 and maybe into that 204, 205 range.
Well, into turn number 5 now, getting the brakes and tires warmed up, Ferris Cartoony. Again, going to try to break his own track record. A 207.248 is the time to beat. And you said this morning that was an average speed of about 114 miles an hour through all the 14 corners here.
Yeah, and keep that in mind. Obviously, you've got the really quick corners here, but that includes turn 5, turn 8, turn 12, all tight, slower corners, and you're still averaging over 100 and almost 114 miles an hour. So this is going to be fascinating, and I think we're going to get our speed shot again.
I think we're going to try to get that speed trap shot for you again. Yesterday we caught 177 miles an hour. It was not the fastest he was going around Road America. He did 182 on the front straightaway, which is pretty scary fast around here.
Yeah, it's wicked quick. And the thing was, he said he was at $160 by the time you get to the start-finish line, but there's so much power in that thing that it just kept pulling. And so he's got some amazing potential here. You can see him down at the bottom of the screen, right side, working his way through. He just came through the kink. This is the part of the track they call Kettle Bottoms. It's the lowest part of the track down into Canada Corner. This tight right-hand corner here, and it's actually a little quicker than it looks because it's got that curbing and you can really flow some speed through there. Then the Billy Mitchell turn here, which is a lot faster than you think, and you want to commit, turn in early to that corner. But the lap now will start here. He's going to sort of square up a little bit and really start to get a run up this hill.
If you're trackside here at Road America with us this weekend, find a place near the racetrack to spot Ferris Cartoony doing 180 plus down the front straightaway. If you're near the pit lane, find a chain link fence. Here he comes across the line to start a flying lap here at Road America. Look at that, down into turn 1 on the binders, Greg, into the first of 14 corners.
And remember yesterday when he set that 207, it was the second lap. That was the real flyer. He went from 168 to 177 down into 5 from one lap to the other, and he hasn't been out all day, so we may see a similar scenario here. So we're going to be watching him for 2 laps for sure.
Under the Sargento Bridge, this straightaway feels very short in the car this fast. Now down to turn 5 into the speed trap for Ferris Cartoony. 183 down into turn 5 and on the binders.
I think he dialed up the power. I think he's going after it. You can see that smoke. But that's the way that he ducted it out. He said, we're going to have that, but if I get the blow-by off of that tire, we're okay.
Wow, that is a spectacular sight.
Yeah.
Dumping water out the tailpipes into the path of Jackie Ding, so that's a consideration.
It is.
Now down into turn 8.
It is. And what he doesn't obviously want to do is hurt the engine on this. But he said, I think we'll be good for one lap. Yeah, we're going to be running warm, but I want to get after it. I want this lap here.
So he's about 2.5 miles into the 4-mile lap here at Road America, now out of the carousel and towards the kink, firing up on all 8 cylinders, turbos spooling through the kink, just absolutely lightning fast. Now onto the backstretch.
And if he's feeling that the grip now isn't compromised on that left rear, he's going to flow a lot more speed through the carousel and kink. Looked like he used up a lot of road down in the kink. So this is going to be fascinating to see. Now, with the car running as warm as it is with spewing all the fluids, I don't know whether he'll go for that second lap, but he may get her done in this one.
Here he goes up through turn 13 and into 14. Ferris Cartoony aiming to break his own record he set yesterday. The record is 2 minutes and 7.248 seconds. Can Ferris Cartoony break the track record again? Comes over the crest of turn 14 and across the line. Here he comes. Track record, Ferris Cartoony 2:04.877 and sets a blistering new unlimited track record.
That is 2.5 seconds quicker than he went yesterday. Look at that. He knows it. Obliterates his own record by 2.5 seconds and gets sub 2:05. That was a flying lap. And those speeds, if he was doing 183 down into 5, imagine what he was doing at the end of that straight.
Unbelievable. And Jackie Dingo's quicker, 217.453.
Oh, yes.
That's a new personal best for him. For Jimmy Rauch, a 219.202. That's an improvement for him. Mike Amick, a 221.587. And for Amick, that is a 2-second improvement in his Subaru STI. So everyone going fast.
Absolutely flying out there. The number 52 of Gardner. He'd run a 221.1, and he's knocking on the door. He's at a 222.7, so another lap he might be in the mix. And Alex Moss putting down a 228.0. Now, he had done a 222 earlier, so we'll see what he does on his next lap. But here's Jackie Ding watching him, and he gets so much speed out of that Supra.
Jackie going again. I think he might be cooling the lap.
I think you're right.
Cooling it down, but he was shooting for a 216. And he's just shy of that. He might cool it down and try to go once more. But how about Ferris Cartoony? Not only beating his own record, but by 2.5 seconds. I mean, we're approaching GT Le Mans GT car times around here.
Yes, we are. It is really impressive what he's doing. And, and watching it, and I get it, when you're running that fast and in this type of a scenario at a track like this, you're going to give yourself those little margins. But watching where he exited, say, in the turn 13, there was more he could have run through that corner. He left a little room on the exit, and I completely get this in the kink. But there are spots where I think if he had been running all day, track was really dry and the like, I think he would be able to crank it up a little bit more himself even and find it here. But in these conditions and after not running all day, to lay that kind of lap down on your first flyer is just magnificent.
Unbelievable. Alex Artea out there leading in the street GT category. In the number 77 BMW M3, he is currently scored in 10th overall in Group A right now with a 230.182, so is just a couple seconds shy, but has an opportunity to go faster. I was shocked at how quiet Artea's M3 is. These modern BMWs are really quiet cars until you uncork them.
Yeah, and they move. There's no question about that. How about Moding in that ASA stock car, doing a 230.2, not a bad lap at all for him.
Just a couple seconds off of his best, but knocking on the door again. Jackie Ding starting a flyer into turn 1 of the number 86 PhD Racing Supra, using all the racetrack and some under the bridge and down towards turn 3.
Using that bit of curbing, it's the old, as Mario Andretti once said, if you don't want me to race on it, don't pave it. And those curbs, you use the parts of it that he did, it's absolutely fine, and it just allows you to flow a little bit more speed through that corner. Means your exit speed's better. That's not a bad.
Over 150
down in here either, so he's moving.
151 for Jackie Ding into turn 5. Hauling the mail, big slide, big correction as he drives the car up the hill under the compression, and now the track falls away. Again, trying to beat the IMSA GT4 pole time, which is a mid-216. He's about a second away from that.
Well, we'll see here, that little slide that he had down in 5. When it gets a little bit too much of a slip angle, it starts to scrub speed, and I mean that literally. As that back end comes around, the tires will start to scrub against the track surface, and that does rob you of speed. So we'll have to see if that hurt him a little bit here. But, boy, certainly not for want of effort. He has really given it a run here.
Now through the kink for Jackie Ding. This is full commitment. Right to the outside curb. Use a little bit of it. They give you 2 sets of curbs out there. You don't really want to find your way onto both of them.
No, not at all. Now, critical spot here. This is really fast down into turn 12 or Canada corner. Nice run through there.
He's pushing. You can see the car slide out to exit with the rear leading the front, so he is definitely pushing.
Look at his track out. See how much curve he used there? That's how you roll speed through that corner. Beautiful job by Jackie Ding.
Yeah, he got a little bit of grass at the exit of the entry road as well, so he is definitely on it up the hill. Jackie Ding trying to beat his own best time of 2:17.453. Can Jackie Ding beat the own street mod record that he got earlier today across the line? No, he will not beat it. That time through, it was a 2:17.475, just about 200ths slower than his previous best.
And that may have been that little slide in 5. That slide alone, you think about how quick a second ticks, and that slide could have cost you 3-4 tenths. And had he not had that, that would have put him into the high 216. So I think he's capable. I think the car's capable, that's for sure.
Alex Moss goes to a 2:23.301. It's not quite an improvement, but he's getting very close. Chris Bickford up there as well in the unlimited category, a 2:27 in his Camaro SS1LE.
How about this for the 991 of Rauch? He had at 2:19.270, and he just turns a 2:19.20. So he now has set his personal best on the day.
Chipping away little by little.
That's
Again,
track mod leader. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you're good. Track mod, Jimmy Rauch, and then Grant Walker is the driver who is in second in track mod right now. And I haven't seen Grant Walker on. Oh, he is out there.
Just came out.
So Grant Walker in a very swoopy-looking Mazda Miata. It's got lots of parts taken off of it and lots of carbon added to it. It certainly looks very Batmobile-ish in a way, but
yes.
We'll see what he can do. Looks like Steve Luca out in the GT500 as well. Or not the GT500, that's Nick Gardner, rather. Whose best time so far this weekend is a 2:21.159. And not quite there yet in this session.
Yep, I think he's just taking it easy, maybe getting ready to start yet another flyer here.
Through turn 7 now, carrying as much speed as possible. Nasty apex curb that'll get you if you try to cut that corner too much. And then down into turn 8 for Nick Gardner in the Ford GT500. And into the carousel, past the Speedville Bridge, and picnic tables and trees over there. It's one of the beautiful parts of the racetrack that is probably underrepresented when people talk about Road America. That inside of the carousel, such a great area to hang out.
Oh, big camping area, big nice showers sitting back there. It's a great spot to come in and set up. By the way, how about a shout out to the 571 of Mike DeSold, the unlimited rear-wheel drive Camaro. He hasn't been out. He hasn't had a time set. He comes out, gets his first one right up into the top 10, sitting in 7th with a pretty respectable 2:23.5.
That's not slow by any stretch, so congratulations to him for getting on track and in the last session of the weekend. So that's impressive to get it at least a few laps in before it all wraps up later today. So Ferris Cartoony again at the top of the board, breaking his own track record that he set yesterday with a 2:04.877. Jackie Ding resetting street mod record with a 2:17.453. Jimmy Rauch with a 2:19.202. The fastest in the track mod category here this week. There's Jimmy Rauch now as he heads into turn number 1. On the brakes really, really hard. And he's just lapping lap after lap. This car is reliably quick.
Just putting them down. And you know, sometimes you get yourself in a rhythm. It's like, yeah, the car's working. I don't really need to cool it off. and I'm in the zone. Let's just keep pushing here.
All right, well, let's see what this Porsche GT2 RS does in a straight line. Having a look at the turn 5 speed trap here. And Jimmy Rauch again going to beat his own 219, 202, 165. That's not slow at all there, Greg, is it?
That is moving. And then he gets
a little too hot.
Yeah, well, there you go. But one of the things, you take a look at these Porsches, they are very slippery. And so you can use a little bit more wing in the back of the car because you're not getting dragged from other spots of the car as much. And so you get on these long runs, these cars get through that air very efficiently. And but still, 165, that is hooked up.
Moding in the number 199 stock car through turn 7, a 228.605. That's getting in a little closer to Moding's lap earlier this weekend of a 227.443. So just about a second off and away from that. And we'll likely get the checkered flag this time by, so we'll have to see if Moding will get that lap complete. He was slideways through turn 1 and left a pair of tire tracks at the exit of 1 that time through, so he's definitely getting after it.
Wondering if we're going to see yet another lap from Dinger as he ducked into the pits here.
That might have been all he had. He might go for one more.
The reason I mean, it could be, he was so close to being able to dip into the 16s, and he just had that one moment in 5. And so I would think you would say, you know what, I can do this. Just have to smooth out a couple of spots here and find that half a second. But obviously it depends on how much you've taken out of the car in your first 2 runs.
Well, there's time left on the table. He knows that. But is there time left in the session to cool the car down and go back out for one more go? That's the question here.
That's a good point.
And I don't know if he would have passed the start-finish already if he was still on the track rolling around. So Ding might have just missed his goal, but he reset the street mod record in that category. So you can't walk away from this disappointed by any stretch.
No, not at all. Not at all. That's the real golden ring at each of these events is that track record, obviously. And when you get one, that's what really lights the fuse for you just a little bit here, and we've got a couple here already this weekend.
Great look at the back straightaway area between turns 3 and 5. There's a corner in there. They call it 4. I'm not convinced that it is one, but
yeah, well, exactly. It's it's interesting because there are some corners that to me are even a little bit more of a corner here than this one that they don't count. So it's just hey, Cliff Tufty created the track. He said this is a corner, this is just a bend, I guess. So, yeah, when I do track maps here, I always say 14 counted corners.
Counted corners. I like that. At least it's not like the Sonoma where they've got 5 and 4A and 4B and 5C exactly. and 6-3 and who knows what they're on now at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Here's Mr. Moding.
It's so cool. This is the only car on track right now.
Yeah.
And just listening to it, it sounds like I'm at a NASCAR race. Bit of a messy downshift there that'll cost him some time.
Once again, you're not used to downshifting in these cars, and the gearbox isn't really that friendly to be able to do that.
Certainly not. This will be an old 4-speed H-pattern gearbox most likely, unless it's been changed from what's original to the car. But either way, Moding going to get after it. And again, we talk about the cars not being built for it. In this day and age with stock cars, now NASCAR has embraced stock or road course racing, and actually they just held their first NASCAR Cup Series race here a couple months ago. So in the future, in GRIDLIFE in 2040, we might see a NASCAR Cup car out here.
Yeah.
And then they'll actually be built for it. And they're going to have a sequential transmission next year, a 5-speed, which is a change. And center lock wheels and all sorts of changes that are intended to make the cars look more like their road counterparts and also be a little quicker on road courses.
And you think about it, if you look at, and I'm talking back in the 90s, 2000s, a stock car is a tube frame V8 powered car, but it runs a much higher profile, narrower tire. It's all designed to carry speed on an oval. You take a tube frame chassis, drop a V8 in it, make it lower, much more efficient braking, wider tires, you got a Trans Am car. So I mean, there are those similarities there. So you could certainly take these stock cars, massage them a little bit, and have them there. I'm interested to see just how much. I've never followed it that closely. A Cup car, when they bring it now to a road course, how different is that car from one that runs on the ovals. They don't look different.
Right, but underneath, it might be.
Who knows, yeah.
So safety truck heading out on the racetrack now to maybe go recover a car stalled somewhere. We haven't gotten a good look at that yet, but checkered flag on Group A here in Time Attack.
Wow. 2048 for Cartoony around a 4-mile track. That's got to be well up and over 150 miles an hour average speed.
I'm going to go look up the IMSA GT Le Mans qualifying times because I'm pretty sure that we'd be awful close to running up front with Ferris Cartoony's number 72. Now, it wouldn't fit that class very well, but
yeah.
It would be something to watch for sure.
They make their time around the lap a little differently.
So qualifying for GTD. So this is the GT3 spec cars. Qualifying, the pole was a Lexus RCF GT3 at a 207.195.
So quicker than a GT3 machine.
Quicker than a GT3. And now I'm trying to find, see what a Super Trofeo car does around here. How about practice speeds from Super Trofeo? A 207.957, so faster than a Lamborghini Super Trofeo. And let's see what else we've got here.
I'd be curious for the GT Le Mans if you can find that.
GT Le Mans. GT Le Mans. Oh, this was. It might have been in. I think they had a wet session, so this is from this year. But let's move on to the race and see if I can find. This is from a couple months ago. Race official results. Let's see what the fastest lap was for a GTD car. Or GT LM rather. It was Cooper McNeil in the number 79 WeatherTech Racing Porsche. Their fastest lap was a 2:02.3, so we're only a couple seconds off.
That's amazing. And those GT Le Mans cars, and here's the difference. Ferris's car, a ton of horsepower, but the aero just isn't as efficient on his car as it's because the GT Le Mans car is built from the ground up. It's restricted on power, but the aero and the downforce and everything on that car is just built throughout that entire chassis, and they are just amazing at how much aero they build. And so, you know, for Ferris, yeah, he's got a lot of horsepower, but that means that he doesn't have the stick that those cars do, and to get around this track and put up a time that's within just a few seconds of them is pretty stunning.
And let's remember that the GT Le Mans cars are built by Porsche, by Ferrari.
Exactly.
Ferris's car is built by him, and yes, and by a handful of partners and people that make it happen for him. So it is not a factory effort in any sense.
Yeah, a little bit different in the engineering staff.
Yes,
that you got working on that program. So, and that's a very big point, and that's a point of pride for these guys in Time Attack Track Battle. Is the fact that this is the class of, there are lots of phrase backyard engineering, tinker or whatever, but they take these cars and they do this work themselves, and then they come out and attack things. And when they get close to the times of extremely well-funded factory programs, there should be, and I'm sure there is, a significant amount of personal pride where you go, God, I'm quicker than a factory-built GT3 car. And I'm just a couple of ticks off of a full factory run GT Le Mans program. Not too bad.
Not too bad at all. We're going to step away for a couple minutes while we wait for Time Attack Group B to get out on the racetrack. We'll return from Road America in just a few minutes. Back live for Grid Life Time Attack here at Road America. The last running for Group B here at the National Park of Speed. The last round, the last session of Group B for the season. Greg Creamer is alongside me. I'm Kyle Heyer. We've got one more 15-minute session for the Group B cars, Greg. We saw some track records fall again in Group A, so I think we'll see some more in some of our other classes fall in Group B.
I think so. The track is fast now. We've had all that little bit of moisture that we were dealing with earlier has dried up. It's cool. It's a lot of humidity. You know, the track conditions are really good. The engines are going to love all that dense air. The aero's going to like the dense air. This is an opportunity to really put up some times. And if you go by what Ferris Cartoony, you're knocking, 3 seconds off of a previous lap record. Jackie Ding doing a new record. It's certainly capable.
So Corey Ross, Bertulis, Loudon on track right now. And again, remember we talked about Steve Loudon earlier in the Corvette ZR1. That's that blue Corvette. It's got to be making hay down the straightaways. We saw 183. We saw 165 down the backstretch by the GT2 RS. That's one of those cars that we also expect to have a pretty unbelievable back straightaway speed.
You would think so, absolutely. We've seen a couple of cars that from that same Corvette family that we've seen up over 160 easy down into turn 5. So floating a lot of speed, and just like the look of this car, don't you? The number 226, that Supra.
Yeah, that's Jerry Liu's PhD Racing Supra. And you know, going back to the conception of this car visually is based on Toyota's FT1 concept. When they scaled it down, everyone's like, why don't all the vents aren't functional, they don't work. Well, this is the FT1 concept scaled down to fit the chassis that it shares with the BMW Z4. So a lot of the vents that had been designed on the FT1 to be functional were no longer functional once they scaled the bodywork down. So it is a sharp-looking car, and there's potential to really go fast, as we've seen with Jackie Ding. But a lot of those vents are actually in places where they wouldn't do much even if you did punch a hole through.
Very good point. But the lines are really crisp. And it's one of those cars that sitting still looks quick.
It does, and I've heard people say that in stock form, the way that they accelerate off of a corner is really interesting. They have a real soft rear suspension, so they kind of squat and go. So they have a lot of rear grip when you need them to kind of get up off the corner. It's got an inline 6-cylinder engine, which isn't a layout you see a ton anymore. Used to be a pretty popular engine layout, but not so much anymore.
And those straight sixes just have a sound about them that is just spectacular. So everything about that car, visually, orally, the whole thing, aurally, I should say, is really, really fun.
So we'll see, again, what Jerry Liu can do in a Supra that is a lot more stock than Jackie Ding's is. Ryan Seiler is on track in Club TR. That is a blue Honda S2000. Again, he is leading Club TR here this weekend. And his best time so far has been a 2:36.011. So that's the time to beat for Ryan Seiler. Enjoying the views of Canada Corner and the climb up through Billy Mitchell Bend and into turn 14. And the first times coming across the board, Clay Davidson at a 2:31.897. That is a new personal best for Clay Davidson in the Ford Mustang.
Here's the exit of that 14 and that long climb up the hill. And it's interesting, you get up over the top of the hill and you get to the start-finish line, and you realize you still got 2/3 of the straight to go. This is really, really stout. Getting a nice little toe there. Oh, and look at that. Looked to me like Jerry Lou might be just moving over, letting some people through.
Yeah, moving over to let a couple drivers through. One of them being Ryan Seiler in the 255, who sets a 236.185. And for Ryan Seiler, that is about a 10th off of his best time. Who's in this? Is that a Nissan GTR? Indeed it is.
Yeah, Lolly Nairi track mod car.
237.740 for Nairi. And is that 237.7? Ooh, that's really close to being. It is by 0.02 of a second an improvement for that GTR. That's a real tight margin.
Yeah, very
around
small.
4 miles, that's for sure. There is a look at that GTR. It's got a huge wing on the back of it as well.
Does.
Behind him, a Subaru STI climbing the hill. And it was that, I think I might have seen the number 42 S2000 that I believe is driven by, I thought it was, that's the 9 of Drew Turner. It looked a lot from the back like Tom O'Gorman's car, like they were doing a hardship lap in this session to make sure that everything's in one piece. But, ooh, sketchy moment there. Cal Fortner squeezing around Jerry Lou.
Yeah.
Really slow at the exit at turn 6. Very, very slow.
Yeah.
Wonder if there's an issue on that Supra, or if he's just trying to get out of the way.
Well,
it might just be the latter.
Goes. He was just trying to be considerate. And the one thing, when you take a look at Nairi's car, that monster rear wing, he doesn't have a lot of aero at the front of the car. And what that does is it can really upset the balance. And what he wants is he doesn't want the back end coming around when he goes to power in these moderate to mid-speed corners. He just doesn't want that to break loose. But I'll guarantee you that that's going to induce some pretty significant push, because that back's going to be so planted. So that's a car that you need to really be aggressive, get the braking on the nose, get that nose pinned under braking to get the car to rotate a little bit, and then get back to power. I bet that thing, it's fast, but I bet it's a challenging drive.
Well, I think part of building in crazy aerodynamics into a race car is understanding how they affect the balance of the car, right? So if you add a huge wing to the rear of the car, it might be time to look at installing a splitter on the front of the car, or dive planes is another kind of aerodynamic feature that you can put on the fenders to direct air up and over the fenders as well. So there's all sorts of things you can do to change that balance, and also adjust the wing angle as well, which can also improve your drag versus downforce coefficient. So all sorts of adjustments you can make to aero on these cars, but again, balancing the aero is just as important as having it.
And the thing is, there's a lot of drivers that they prefer a car that's got a little bit of push in it, because it isn't comfortable at high speed to have the back wanting to swap ends with the car, with the nose. So you'll set the car up to make sure that it just has a little bit of push. And what I mean by push is, as you turn the wheels, the car wants to still go straight. And I asked it in one of my first driving schools. I asked one of the, somebody in the class asked, well, so what's the difference between understeer and oversteer, or push and loose? And he said, well, understeer, you see what you're going to hit, was pretty much how he put it. And so from a driver's perspective, you feel more comfortable with understeer, because you can solve understeer by breathing off the throttle. You get a little weight on the nose, and it'll go. Oversteer, whole different animal to try and control, particularly in fast stuff.
It's almost like describing the horsepower and torque thing, right? Horsepower is how fast you hit the wall, and torque is how far you move it. Something like that.
Exactly right. Yeah.
There's Max Rooney in the Civic Si hatch. That's a really unique car that you don't see a lot of.
No.
But that's a Club TR competitor. And Max making good work with it. Nice clean line through turn 5. Right behind him is Zach Lavoie, who gave up his GLTC seat for Tom O'Gorman this weekend. But two blue cars, a very different make, model, and year, chasing each other through turn 7. Bertulis in the Lexus RCF is closing in on his best time of the weekend, which is a mid-32. He's at a 33.4 rounded up in this session. Dana Pazinski is out on track as well. This is his first time at Road America. And Pazinski's got the K-Swap BRZ and runs 9th in this session with a 235-176. That is a Club TR car. And interestingly, with Dana's time there, he might have actually gone faster than the current Club TR leader, which would be Ryan Seiler. And he has. So now it's a new Club TR leader, Dana Basinski.
And that's a class where the points championship is relatively close, isn't it?
It is, and I'm not sure. I mean, we'll have to check in and see where Dana is. I think he was 4th coming into the weekend points, but Dana runs with the Andy Smedegard Motorsports team camp, and that's a flying lap. A 1:35.1 is really, really quick. So I'll find out where the points are for Time Attack and see where Dana is in relation to the others. So Dana comes into the weekend 4th in the points, a little ways out of it, but not impossibly far back.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So 317 points coming into the weekend. And the driver he is battling is Ryan Seiler, who came into the weekend with 356 points. So again, you take the best 4 rounds. We have completed, this will be the 9th round for Time Attack. And Ben Thorne has 3 events completed. And Ryan Seiler has 6. Dana Basinski has 4. So again, that's going to be a tough one to sort out. I think Dana's going to gain some ground on Seiler for sure, though. I mean, if he's a full second faster, that's 10 points, but he's still a long way to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seiler.
But that's a significant point to make. Is that's why they're not necessarily going to just go, okay, I'm in the lead. I'm gonna take it easy now. No, if you have an interest in this championship, you're going to keep pressing here a little bit and see if you can open that margin up even more.
So I was reminded by the driver in the GTR, Nairi, is one of the drivers from Exact Performance, who, if you were at Mid-Ohio, Greg, so you remember that crazy 350Z with all the aero and all the striping on it?
Oh, yeah.
That's the same team. So,
okay, absolutely.
Very different build here, but aerodynamics is not new to that team. So I guess that's an interesting discovery, because I'm sure they understand the aero balance quite well, given that their other car is literally just a 350Z with a full body aero kit on it to make it go fast.
Exactly. Watching Brad Moore here, the number 931, the white BMW in the Street GT. He's running a 235.6 right now. His best one was a bit earlier, 234.8. Not too far off it in that M2. So just not quite there yet to be able to take a real crack at it.
Through the kink, a couple of drivers making their way around as we get towards the end of Group B here. Again, we're going to have Group C coming up next. That'll be the last on track for Time Attack in 2021. And then following will be our season finale for GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. We have a very compelling championship battle and a significant field invert for our last race of the season coming up in just a little while, about 25 to 30 minutes. So make sure that you tune in for that one. You do not want to miss the GLTC finale.
Taking a look at the top of the times in this group right now, Hoffman in the 145 has turned to 231.4, and his best time previously to that was a 239.1. So he really has found some pace here and has that Subaru really up on it right now. The WRX STI is flying.
He kind of snuck under the nose there just a little bit, puts himself at the top of the board here in Group B. That is an unbelievable gain for Hoffman. And a 31.4, again, for context, is about what our Touring Cup cars are running around here. So regardless of how much power you've got, it requires the grip level and the corner commitment to get to a low 30 and even breaking the 30 mark. So it is a challenge. Cal Fortner giving the wave out the window in turn 1. Hi, Cal. Not that he can hear me. That car is so loud it sounds like an earthquake driving by.
Yeah, it does. The number 120, you're talking about Loudon, he had turned that 232.2 previously. Yep. He's now down underneath that at a 231.7.
That is a really good pickup for Loudon. Again, I mentioned that car, the blue Corvette ZR1, competed in one lap of America with Tom O'Gorman as a co-driver. And so Steve Loudon on track now at Road America in the car that, he just did a 231.629, so picked up even more.
And the 575 of Clay Davison is underneath his previous best as well, now at a 231.89. So we're seeing a lot of drivers making some serious headway here late in this session. Piero Pucci, Street Mod, the Evolution, the Evo 8. He had turned a 2:33.4. He's at a 2:32.4. So a full second pickup there.
So lots of time being picked up by a handful of drivers in Time Attack Group B. And Group C is what remains, and that is where that Sunday Cup battle is going to be so captivating, Greg. We're going to have that in just a couple minutes here.
Can't wait. Those guys put on a show.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes with Time Attack Group C. You'll hear from the partners and people that make it happen. I'm running out of steam. GRIDLIFE Time Attack is brought to you by Falken Tire, competition-proven performance. FCP Euro, every part you buy is guaranteed for life. 303 Performance, premium protectants and cleaners exceeding expectations since 1980. STA-BIL, ready, willing, STA-BIL. MOMO, the official safety and wheel partner of GRIDLIFE. And by HP Tuners. HP Tuners, connect, read, edit, write, drive. Back live here at Road America for the last Time Attack session of 2021. Kyle Heyer joined by Greg Creamer for one more go in Time Attack, this time with Group C. Greg, welcome back, and this time we're going to watch the fits go for battle.
Yeah, they're having fits out there, and it's absolutely fantastic. The championship battle is really close in that category. It's difficult for us to really track it because there are drops that are factored in, and it's all going to be after the event is done. But there's a pretty good championship, and a number of the contenders in there are out here right now. But to me, the bigger story is what's going on for the battle here for the weekend. And in that number 411 is Kyle Karstens. It's listed as Hard Times Racing, a 3:01.78 best time, and the 3:95 of Michael Smith. Both of these guys are in the top 5 of that championship battle. Michael Smith at a 3:05.7. Sorry,
3:01.86.
3:01.86. Yep. So it's literally a tenth of a second separating those two for fast time here. And we've already seen this track right now is really quick at this stage. Then there's a little bit of a gap, but then the battle behind them is really good between James Morgan and Adam Jabay, who's making his debut in this class here this weekend and having a really good run. Peter Lindbergh, Rory Lonergan, all really, really close.
I'm supposed to be impartial, but I really would like to see Adam podium in Sunday Cup because I think it'd be great for him to give the trophy to himself.
Yeah, just to see that awkward moment.
All right, so cars on track now. Go ahead.
Puppet Adam could have worked.
That's a fantastic idea. If you haven't seen that, you should head to the GRIDLIFE official Instagram and Facebook to see the joke around the Jababy, as Chris Stewart calls him, the Japuppet. So cars on track now for Time Attack Group C, the last sessions of the day and the year for our track battle championships. Again, there's the fits. And Mike Mills in a Ford Fiesta. That's the blue car. He's got the front bumper all taped up probably to keep it on and keep it the air from getting in it and ripping it off. But Mike Mills out there having some fun. But again, it's the Hard Times Racing 411 that is leading ahead of Michael Smith by a tenth of a second. And there's that Hard Times Racing fit with the very easy to spot decals on the side right behind him. The silver fit trying to run him down. And down the hill towards turn 3. It is I would love it to get, it would be amazing to get a speed trap on the fits.
Yes.
So let's get a speed trap on the fits here as Adam Jabay runs a little wide at the exit of 1. I think that'd be fantastic. Remember, 183 was the quickest we've seen, and this might be the slowest, fastest car we've seen.
Exactly. And what I think would be interesting is to get one that is running by itself and then get one running in a draft.
Yep.
And see what kind of improvement you might see there.
Well, about 100 miles an hour. 103 for the Hard Times Racing fit.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. You're triple digits.
Actually. Yeah.
You don't really slow down all that much either. One of the great things about these cars, Greg, is that not only are they approachable as to drive, but also, you talk about the low cost to purchase and acquire, but also the low cost of maintenance. They don't really go through brakes, all the consumables. They're not going to eat brakes very much. It's not going to be significant in any way there as the Hard Times Racing fit pulls off to the side and pulls through the silver fit, which I couldn't get a look at the number, but that may be one of the cars that's trying to run him down.
But, the interesting thing about this class of car is a great training class because when you are in a car that by design is a little underpowered, doesn't have a lot of tire on it, the whole thing is be smooth and flow speed, momentum, carry speed through a corner because these cars, you don't have that big horsepower grunt to get out of the corner, drop the hammer, and accelerate. So if you're going to be fast in these cars, you need to exit the corners as quick as you possibly can, which means being really efficient through the corner and flowing speed. Well, guess what? If you learn that technique, now you can jump into a car 200, 300, 1,000 horsepower. If everybody else around you has similar horsepower and you can roll a few more mile an hour through the apex, you're going to be quicker.
Well, I think
it all starts here.
Right. The important thing to remember is that regardless of whether your car has 1,000 horsepower or 100, the dynamics of a car are still the same. And carrying momentum is still advantageous. You can cover mistakes more easily with power. But if you are able to roll speed through the corners better than everybody else, you're going to catch everyone else's mistakes, which is crucial.
Yep. I mean, a similar class, it's in SCCA is called Spec Racer Ford. which is underpowered, undertired, and the whole concept there is everything spec, you have to, it's on the driver. And Dorsey Schrader, when he got out of SCCA club racing, his first thing he did was get into the, back in the day, the Pro Spec Racer Ford Series. When he left that, he went and did a test, got a Trans Am ride, won the Trans Am championship as a rookie. And when people talked to him about it, he said it's all due to my time in those Spec Racer Fords, because I learned how to flow speed, and I could get through and out of corners a little quicker than everybody around me with similar power, and that gave me the edge.
So Michael Smith comes on through in Sunday Cup and runs a 3:01.876, which is not quite quick enough to improve on his earlier time. And I also have to make a correction earlier about a driver in the previous session. At the top of the board, it was Devin Hoffman. She had a very phenomenal round and got to the top of the board. So congratulations to Devin there. As the 777, Dewey's BRZ jumps to a 2:45.095. And trying to see how fast that car has gone this weekend. It was a 2:44.429, so about 0.6 of a second off.
And you were talking about Smith in that last lap. He was less than 100th behind his best time, and so really still just that 10th off of what the number 411 hard times entry was doing. This car right here. So this battle is definitely on.
Well, I think the other thing to consider is that Michael Smith was in a draft behind the 411 fit. And then I think the hard times car pulled out of the way, maybe realizing that he was helping his competitor. But now the 395 is all on his own, so he'll be responsible entirely for his pace on this lap. And that's part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely it is. When you have any car that is a little down on power on a track that's got lots of long, fast sections, draft. Get in the tow. Two cars running together are quicker than one running by itself, as long as there's cooperation between those drivers. If the guy behind you pulls out to make the pass, you don't want to fight him. You want to let him go, tuck in behind him, and then with the understanding that you were kind enough to do that, you would expect him to then do that for you, and you just literally help pull each other around that track just a little bit quicker than you could running alone.
And the other great thing about drafting in fits is that when you get to the corner, you don't really have any aero to speak of, so you're not going to suffer the ill effects of aero wash, as we'd call it.
Exactly. Yep. You don't lose downforce on the nose. You can run right up behind somebody. And if you really don't quite grasp what we're talking about, when a car is driving along at speed, it punches a hole in the air, and before that air, after it gets punched and disperses before it can close up, there's an area of kind of low pressure in there where if you get in behind it, now the two of you can actually run quicker. If you've ever been in a small car and you get stuck behind a semi at speed and you get a little too close and suddenly you find that car accelerate, because it's real buffety for a while, right? And then suddenly it gets really calm and you start to gain speed, that's you're feeling the effect of that tow. Well, you can use that in racing to help you find speed that the car running by itself otherwise wouldn't have.
So Michael Smith did not improve on that lap around. The Hard Times Racing car improved this session, but not overall on the lap charts. Adam Jabay just behind James Morgan. There is James Morgan in the fit with the pink tape on it. And there's Adam Jabay in the red Honda fit down into turn one. Big wiggle on entry, carrying the speed. I love watching Adam wheel that with the yellow gloves. Now heading down through turn two and into turn three. Again, so Adam Jabay will have to beat one of his friends to get up onto the podium here this weekend. And that friend is James Morgan, and he's only 400ths off of doing that overall. So he has an opportunity to do it, and he's getting after it now. This might be his last lap, too.
This might well be his last lap. And I think he's found something that is really going to be fun for him because he's so busy on these weekends as he oversees a lot of what's going on with the GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, that when that is running, he's kind of focused on it. This gives him the opportunity now to get out, because he would try and run in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, and he was just distracted and scattered and everything with what he's doing. Well, here, one, he doesn't have to do a lot of car prep. You talked about how good and solid these cars are, and that means that for Adam, he can just get out and just drive. And I think he's found a home here.
Well, he cut off the exit at turn 6 to arc in 7 and carry as much speed as possible. This will be a fun battle to watch.
Yeah, well.
I want Adam to get a trophy and hand himself the trophy, so I really want him to get a couple hundreds more and beat James Morgan as much as I love both of those guys. But Adam through turn 8 now and into the carousel. At the front, the 411 Hard Times Racing car was slower this session than Michael Smith, but overall this weekend, the Hard Times Racing Fit is still a little faster in Sunday Cup. So the 411 will currently sit at the top of the podium come the celebrations here in under an hour, actually.
The one thing that Adam has to avoid doing is knowing he's that close, overdriving the car, and then as a result, getting a little sideways, running wide, running longer lines than you need to. That all eats up time. You need to now, to find that extra time in these cars, you need to just be as smooth and precise as possible. And the problem is in these cars, and it's just a fact, you got 3 sections of this track where you have a lot of time to think and get into your head too much.
That's true, especially in a fit.
Yeah.
You get on the back straightaway, then you settle in for the long nap and break out a book and read through it and make a rest stop along the way. Then
Exactly.
about 3.5 hours later, you make it to turn 5.
You time your lap with a calendar page.
Through turn 14 now, checkered flag is out. This will be Adam Jabbay's last opportunity to get a podium in Sunday Cup. Climbing the hill, Lord and Savior Adam Jabbay. Up and over the crest. Can he do it? He's got to beat a 3:05.722.
See what he does.
Well, now he's got to beat a 3:04.230 because that's what James Morgan just did.
Wow, that's a lap.
And Jabbay will not do it. So James
improved.
Morgan.
he improved a bit, but not enough.
No, James Morgan will solidify a podium here in Sunday Cup. Unbelievable. But Adam, I'm sure he had a blast.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
So the Sunday Cup podium this weekend is going to go to the 411, the Hard Times Racing Fit, followed by Michael Smith in the 395, and James Morgan will be the last step on the podium in Sunday Cup. Well, congratulations to all of our time attackers for completing the 2021 competition season here in Time Attack. Greg, that is it for Time Attack this year. Final thoughts on TA before we take a short break before GLTC.
Yeah, I mean, I think right late in the going there, if I'm reading this right, Michael Smith jumped the number 411 and put up a time.
Oh, did he?
That might just do it here. I'm looking the time that.
Oh,
I
he
have.
did. 3:01.392. So Michael Smith in the final moments. You're right, Greg. He snuck in there and got it.
Yeah, fabulous lap.
Man.
I mean, it was by a chunk. That was 0.4 of an improvement late in the session here. So really well done.
Well, that was under the radar for sure, but he did it.
Yep, great job.
All right. Well, with that switching and swapping of the podium in the Sunday Cup category, that's going to do it for our 2021 GridLife Time Attack season. If you're watching on the live stream, if you're standing trackside, don't go anywhere. GridLife Touring Cup is up next in about 20 minutes. We'll be back with you shortly.
Can't wait.
This is wheel-to-wheel racing, 4 15-minute sprint races on the weekend, and I like to think of it as kind of a Forza or Gran Turismo championship where you go in, you bang out a bunch of races, you earn points for every race.
Awfully talented drivers and some very fast and interesting cars.
We're at NOLA Motorsports Park for the first round of the 2021 season. For Dyson Pham, a solid weekend will lead to victory. His first ever win in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup.
For Aaron Lichty, he will pick up his first win of the season. For the first time ever, Jeremy Swenson hangs on and wins. Tom has won races at Sebring and Daytona, but I don't think there's a more special win than this one today. Tom O'Gorman's car, brand new wrap, brand new livery, has won 4 of the last 5 races.
He's leading the race, everything's going great, loses an engine, he thinks his weekend's over.
He brought that car back to the paddock, to Andy Spedgard Motorsports, and they were able to swap the entire K24 engine in under 2 hours. What a save! That was amazing. Incredible by Chris Adams. He just saved 2 race cars from certain disaster.
Totally flat. No, but
He's got him.
nothing but mechanical grip, and we're going to go side by side into the S's.
Here we go, side by side with the 2 race leaders. Finally, Highcutter has a taste of the lead. Huge slide for both the race leaders. Here at Alpine Horizon, exiting turn 9 onto the banking. Drag race, Highcutter's wide. Here they come. Here comes Poison. 3 wide for the lead. 3 abreast
Into turn number 4, and there's still 3 abreast, up and over the top. What a development for Eric Coutillo. He's saved that.
That impressive.
This is it. This is what we've all been waiting for. 12 months of GRIDLIFE Touring Cup competition comes to an end today at Road America, America's National Park of Speed. It's the season finale for GLTC at the longest, largest, and most formidable racetrack on the schedule. A fierce points championship is fired up now with between Jeremy Swenson and Eric Coutillo, and it will all come to a head in one final 15-minute shootout with a 13-car invert leading into our last race. Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Greg Creamer. One final time here this season in 2021. Greg, I'm very, very excited to be joining you for this last race, and we got 15 minutes of racing to finish out our season.
And I am very excited to be here, and absolutely delighted, certainly, to be a part of the season finale. When I came in and filled in for you at Mid-Ohio, to see and be a part of this up close and personal, this type of racing was absolutely fantastic. And then following it now up into this final points championship that you're talking about, I mean, the energy is palpable around here about how crucial this is. And you're right, this racetrack is a perfect place to decide this because this is a driver's track.
There is grit and determination in the field here. Cars that have been crashed several times this season that have been rebuilt. Engine swaps mid-event, coming from nothing to win. We've got rookies that are battling for a championship. There's so many storylines to choose from here, Greg, but I think the big story is Jeremy Swenson is within shooting distance of winning a championship in his first GLTC season. He kicked things off at COTA all the way back in February, was running top 10, got his first win at NCM. He now has 9 wins on the season, going for a 10th, which would be his last one this year. This is the last race, the last opportunity to make your mark in this series this year.
And there's extra significance to those win numbers because if it goes to a tiebreaker, wins are the first deciders. So that's something that he definitely is got in his corner. Now, the other part of this, you talk about it, it's his first season. The guy that he's battling for the championship is the defending champion and, one of the most experienced guys in this category. Says a lot about Swenson stepping up from time attack, and it has been an absolutely stellar season between these competitors and the others that were in this championship. We came in here, there were 6, then there were 4. Everything's just been trimming down here. But you mentioned the real thing that could play into how this championship unfolds is that inversion, because in the race, it's based on the race results. Swenson won it, Coutil second. Well, it goes back to 13th. So that's where those guys are going to start. That's going to make their jobs really difficult.
It's a random number draw that determines how many cars we invert up to the top 25% of the field. The number is 13. So here's the critical information. If Jeremy Swenson, who starts 13th, wins this race, Eric Coutil needs to finish 4th or better to win the championship. If he finishes worse than that, it's over and Eric Coutil loses. The challenge is Swenson needs to pass 12 cars to get there, one of them being Eric Coutil.
Exactly, and that's not going to come easy. And I think what we're going to see, the drivers up in front, they have every right to race hard for position at the end. I don't think if these guys come up and they're really aggressive and they realize, oh, these are the guys in the championship, I don't think that they're going to fight too hard. They're going to let them through, let them settle out the championship. But you're in a scenario where these guys are used to starting up front for the most part, near the front. Now they're starting 10-plus cars back in the field. That's where things happen on the start and in the opening couple of laps. So they've got to really be mindful of get through these laps. Don't put yourself and your car in any kind of a high-risk situation early. If you can make a move but do it cleanly, obviously go for it. But get through these first few corners and then start this race. And the thing is, we have seen Coutil come through the field before. He's capable of it. We're not so sure about Swenson. Coming from time attack, his ability to set up and make passes in Racecraft, he's great when he starts out front, but it's a whole different deal coming from in the pack. It's going to be fascinating to watch all these machinations play out.
Well, the inversion certainly puts Coutil and Jeremy Swenson down the order, but it also moves drivers forward. Yeah. Kerry James in the number 44 BMW is going to start on the front row. And Kerry James, Greg, as you mentioned and talked about earlier in the weekend, has had a busy weekend, and it almost didn't quite go that way.
Absolutely. Right before the first race, his wife had a little spill on a bike here in the paddock, ended up having to take her to the hospital. She's fine, bruises, scrapes, the like. His crew got the car up in the pre-grid. He came out, drove a storming race, had a really good run to 7th, but post-race tech, he was 6 pounds light, and the reason was the crew realized they forgot to put fuel up the car. And so he was DQ'd from that race, but the issue was he could have been shuffled all the way to the back. But because of the rules scenario in GRIDLIFE, they were able to look at what's truly the fair decision here. He wasn't in front of any of the points contenders. They said, we'll let you keep your fast lap. He started up near the front, and it's allowed him to really be a player in this. He's shown speed. He starts up front. He could win this thing.
He certainly could. So Kerry James is going to be on the front row alongside Brandon Puck. Aaron Lichty, who won one of our races earlier today, he rolls off in 9th in that Porsche Cayman. I caught up with Aaron Lichty yesterday to talk about the importance of qualifying, and the reason why is because that starting position is crucial. Here's what Aaron had to say. Aaron Lichty drives the number 19 Porsche Cayman here in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup, the highest average finish of any driver here this season. Aaron, this car is not only here to be fast, it's also here to bring context to how fast the Touring Cup field is. What's it like bringing a car like this into a field that's typically had a lot of Miatas and S2000s?
Well, it's different. So I race a Miata in this series as well, and you're around a lot of other Miatas, and there's not that give and take, or I've referred to it as the yo-yo effect, where you're just kind of back, forth, and so having a little back and forth, a little diversity of where the cars make speed. So this car is good at the back ends of the straightaways, so the higher the speeds get, the stronger it is, and then it's really strong in the braking zones, where the Mazdas roll a lot of speed through the middle of the corner, and so they're really good off the corners. So to kind of watch them move away and then draw them back in, I think it makes the racing more exciting.
It certainly does. Of course, this season's been very successful for you, but there's also some risk assessment when you come to a track like this. How much are you willing to risk, and how much do you have to tell yourself to back it down when you're 2 and 3 wide here?
I think at any track, you always have to be very conscious of the risk-reward sort of calculus of racing decisions. I think at this track, you have to be extra conscious of it, no doubt. There's walls at this track that, as a racer, you kind of block them out. You pretend they're not there. You certainly don't look at the walls when you're driving. And I've said sometimes there's walls here that you don't see, you hear them. You hear them when you hit them. And so before you get in the car, you have to make yourself kind of aware of that. And yeah, some corners you lift and live to fight another day. It's never more crucial than at this track.
Aaron Lichty with the winning formula here to try to grab some more victories before the season's end. How fast things change here in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup during that interview, the playback of it. It has begun to rain here, Greg, and there is some more on the way. So you have to hope and pray that all these drivers saw that coming and put wet tires on, because it is going to be wet here in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, during the interview, I was looking at some of the weather maps, and it's just like this finger, and it's just aiming right through this area here. And couple of the apps said, and it's not just going to be a sprinkle and go. It's going to rain for a little while here. Well, these races are 15 minutes. So if this track, if it happens the way it says it should, this will be a wet race, and you think everybody has to be paying attention to that. And at this track, you don't want to risk when you've got significant, and when I say significant rain, it's not going to be a torrential downpour, but it's going to be serious rain. You don't want to risk going out on slicks because it's so easy to wad a car up. And this is high speed, high consequence.
Well, here's what is the advantage for a couple of those drivers, though, is Justin Kelly, Aaron Lichty, Jeremy Swenson choosing the street tire. It has grooves. It has a way to repel rain, Greg. That could be a critical choice and critical strategy decision that could affect the outcome of not only this race, but the championship. So Jeremy Swenson starts 13th, but if he's on those street tires, he's going to be in a great position to pass drivers if the rain continues to fall for everyone else on those slicks.
Absolutely, and that car being a high horsepower car, it is a little heavier, and that means two things. One, those tires tend to come in a little bit quicker, and the other thing is, in the wet, a heavy car, especially if there's a little bit of body roll, you soften the car up, it plants power, it plants grip when you're trying to turn a little bit better, so that could really play into his hands.
So, starting lineup here for Kerry James. He'll start on pole for the last race of the GRIDLIFE Touring Cup season alongside Brandon Puck in the number 115 Miata. Justin Kelly for Team Kelly starts in third alongside Ryan Upham from Performance Euroworks. Then row number 3, Emil Tab in the number 14, the winning formula car. Micaiah Hackbarth for ASM in 6th. Eric Jensen, Luke McGrew share row number 4, and behind them, Aaron Lichty, Andy Smedegard in row number 5. DJ Alessandrini and Eric Catil, both from Hybrid Racing, start 11th and 12th. Then it's points runner-up, Jeremy Swenson in 13th, Lewis Chatroop in 14th. Tom O'Gorman repaired a broken control arm. He starts in 15th alongside Rob Manicherry. Jake Jornstad, Matt DeRue start 17th and 18th. Austin Hurdle and Matan Rosenberg wrap up your top 20. Tiffany Kelly sits 21st for the start of this one, clawing her way forward, Greg, as we hit the kink for the last time under pacing conditions here in GLTC.
And the other thing with this track, as you finish that grid, and there's obviously a huge field behind it, we'll just never get through them at this stage. But the other part of it, this track is so big that you can have one end of the track be pretty wet, the other end be dry. And so if you're on rains and most of the track's dry, well, that can create issues in terms of keeping those wet tires alive. Conversely, if you're on slicks and most of the track is wet but there's a little spot dry, that's going to be a real issue as well. So right now it's kind of a roll of the dice game to see what happens. And the people that are looking at the weather sometimes you might say, look, the best chance that I'm going to have is to just throw everything out the window, take that big risk, hope for that reward, and see what happens. And we're about to find that out here.
Some adjustments here. It doesn't appear that the 44 of Kerry James is on pole, so the row will move up. And now it's Justin Kelly that will pull even with Brandon Puck. So Kerry James is not on the front row as we expected him to be. So not sure what that could be a late-breaking story. But regardless, Brandon Puck and Justin Kelly will share the front row, and Justin Kelly has won races in GLTC. He is very, very capable in that Team Kelly Scion FRS. It has a V6 engine out of a Honda Odyssey under the hood, a very unique build. As he rolls through turn 14 alongside Puck, they will be in command of this 50-car field. For the last time this season, GLTC is going to take the green flag at Road America. Climbing up the hill now. Championships on the line. The championship contenders start 12th and 13th. Jeremy Swenson in 13th, Eric Cattell in 12th. Greg, for the last time this season in 2021, we're going to go green flag racing at Road America. Green flag flies, and we're racing at the National Park of Speed.
It's going to be a real drag race down here. We've talked about it. You see the concrete really close. Everybody needs to get through turn number 1 and then go after it. But look at that move there by the Porsche. Micah really getting racy early. We're 3-4 abreast down into 1. Finally, everybody slots in. Micah got pinned to the inside.
Big stack up there behind Micaiah Hackbarth at the exit of turn 1. Gathers it back up. Everybody scatters at corner exit. As we make our way down to turn 3, it's Justin Kelly in command of the field as they head down to that third corner, Greg.
This third corner really important. It leads onto this long run called the Moraine Sweep. You've got to exit with a solid head of steam. And everybody making their way up under the iconic Sargento Bridge. But we're not seeing anybody just explode away like we saw earlier today with Jeremy Swenson. This field staying stacked. Back battle for 4th, 2 abreast.
Side by side into the turn 5 braking zone. Eric Jensen up to 3rd place, now battling for 2nd. Swenson's gotten by Eric Cattell and now has a 5 or 6 car advantage. The points championship could swing just like that. Swenson to the inside of Alessandrini on the climb up the hill.
And what did you see on those cars that have them? Windshield wipers are working right now. There's the clue. Look at this side by side through the top of 6 and a big lured slide and catch. Beautiful save. But, boy, that tells you it's getting slick out there.
Justin Kelly had a big save there, held onto it on the run down to turn 8. Jensen is slow, pulling to the right. Here comes Aaron Lichty up the inside. That's for 3rd place. He moves forward. Swenson now going 3 wide down the inside in turn 8.
He made it by 2 of them. He's down to the inside of Lichty, but he's carrying a head of steam. He had to get out of it. Lichty didn't. Lichty gave him room through the corner, but Swenson just had too much speed. I think he had to back out of it. But what a run he put in down into 8.
Cars rim riding through turn 8. It is definitely slick. Cattell has gone backwards. Swenson has gone forwards. The championship is in the balance right now as that purple Corvette storms forward on the street tires he's put under him.
Street tires and weight in slick conditions, that may have been the trump card that's playing out here. But, even with that big lurid slide.
Trouble. Car off in the kink. Is that DJ Alessandrini? He just scraped the wall. Oh, no, more contact. There's a car hard in the wall in the kink, and they're going to back it down now. Is that Eric Cattell in the hybrid racing EG cars scatter? And that was a big impact on driver's right.
Yes, it was.
It's DJ Alessandrini one and Eric Cattell in the other.
Oh, that's the championship. Unbelievable. But, pushing hard back through the kink, that is such a diabolically fast corner. And obviously unless those cars are somehow able to limp into a safe area, we may be under caution here.
That's probably going to bring out a full course yellow. Jeremy Swenson has gone to 5th place. Cars had gone off in the kink, but still battle for lead now, a full course yellow. The race is under yellow.
But right before that came out, I think Aaron Lichty went to the lead, and if he did before that caution came out, that was legit. I think he made it.
So the car's now slowing down. We'll get you an update on the drivers involved as soon as we can. DJ Alessandrini had a glancing impact on the left side. Looks like he will be able to escape, but Eric Cattell off to driver's right at the exit of the kink. That corner can get anybody, Greg.
Oh, it is one of those corners. We talk about high consequence at this track, and this is a track for the true old school loving driver to get out there and get after it. And when things happen back there, especially when you're mid-pack, it can have those domino effects. And DJ running off wide, somebody checks up just a little bit, and then it just dominoes through the field. Even if it's just a checkup, if the car behind you is carrying a little bit more speed and it lifts and it's still turning, then it can get all kinds of sideways, and stuff just happens. So this is just one of the things in racing in general, but certainly when you're racing in this level of competition at this type of racetrack.
Again, we'll get you an update on the drivers as soon as we know. Now down the back straightaway under caution, Aaron Lichty, Justin Kelly, Andy Smedegard, Ryan Upham, and Jeremy Swenson, your top 5. And the pace car now is going to try to catch the correct car. Looks like it's picked up Swenson back in 5th place.
Yeah, it didn't get out quite quick enough, and that group of 4 cars had already come up and gone by when they released the pace car. So what the pace car needs to do is just get the field stabilized and then just drive up and get around those other 4 cars, and everything will be good. And we just got a glimpse of Tiffany Kelly's car that had the windshield or the hood come up, and right late in that previous race had to actually petition to be able to run the car without a hood, and apparently got that approved. There is a look at Coutil's car.
So yeah, that looks like fairly significant damage to the right front of Eric Coutil's car, and still no eyes on Eric Coutil. Again, we'll pass along information as it comes to us, but again, an impact on driver's right at the exit of the kink, and the championship for Eric Coutil came in feeling very confident, but it looks like his hopes are dashed on lap 1 here.
Yeah, just really, really sad. And one thing that I wanted to point out to everybody, if you've been following the season, the moment in this season to me that put Eric Coutil in the chance, with a good chance to win the championship, and I think was the opportunity that we could have seen him come through this pack today, was race 3 at Gingerman after he had that brake failure in the previous race and had to start way back in the pack and fought his way up into a top 5 finish, earned those points. That was a huge moment for him, and it's just sad to see it happen here because he had the potential to come through this field. He's shown it.
Yeah, so that car is, again, about, I'd say, a couple hundred yards past the exit of the kink. And you're right, going back to Gingerman, think back to the preservation that Coutil had to do to avoid an incident there. Dove to the left with a brake failure, missing Jeremy Swenson and climbing up on a berm there, and was able to recover that weekend and grab points. And Jeremy Swenson had some issues in Gingerman Race 4 that put him back in the pack a little bit. So that had evened out the championship a little bit more. But I think for right now, the championship is off everybody's minds and just focused on Eric Coutil and how he is in that car.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the standard procedure here when you get into a barrier anywhere around the track is one of the first things that happens is it's just sort of an automatic is to roll an ambulance to get out there, partly because you want a vehicle that'll protect on the vehicle and other workers from oncoming traffic. It's standard procedure, and we may see that happening here. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I think it's a great precaution to always take.
DJ Alessandrini was able to limp his car down to Canada Corner. He is pulled off towards the gravel side of the turn, so he has got the car down that far, so I'm sure he's probably shaken up, but all right for the most part. Again, he got off to the left. Now, the one great thing about Road America is, regardless of this track's status as a very fast, classic, and sometimes dangerous place, the kink does have what's called a safer barrier in the kink. It's a steel and foam energy reduction system that essentially is square steel tubing, followed by foam blocks, followed by a concrete wall. So when DJ slid out wide, I believe it was the steel that he got, and that actually compresses, not only to lessen the impact, but also to help the race car out.
Absolutely, and what it does, it absorbs energy, and that's what you want to see in any kind of an incident in a racetrack. Is you want the vehicle, parts of the vehicle, to take the energy and absorb it, because what that does is it removes that energy from the driver, and that's what those safer barriers do. And if you've been watching lots of racing, every once in a while you'll see an incident where lots of stuff flies off the car, and it looks unbelievable, but every piece that's coming off that car takes energy with it, and that's the best thing that you can see, and having that barrier back there is a very, very good thing.
So under caution here in GLTC Race 4. Now my confidence level that we restart is at 40% right now, unfortunately, given the conditions and the extrication of the Civic on the back straightaway. Again, just hoping Eric is okay. And as I mentioned, we will pass along information as we receive it. But, of course, Aaron Lichty, Justin Kelly, Andy Smedegard, the top 3 here in GLTC race number 4.
And Lichty is just in coast mode right now, just waiting for that safety car to come up. Understands what has to happen here. And it's just taken a while for that safety car to get up and get around on Aaron and, you know, pick up the actual entirety of the field in correct order. It's about to happen here. And just taking a look now at that, you know, as you said, Lichty, Kelly, Smedegard, your potential podium, Upham, then Swenson, possibly champion, then O'Gorman, and Manicherry, McGrew, and Hackbarth. And rounding out the top 10 is Jorenstedt. And, boy, I'll tell you, Matan Rosenberg, that young guy, he has come so close to top 10s a number of times this year. He's such a great kid. And he's going to come back. You know he's going to be getting him at some point here. But you just, every time I look, my heart breaks a little bit because he's just 11th, 12th, 11th, 12th. Just right there. A
true talent.
Yes.
He's a youngster for sure. There he is in that red Miata. He's super talented, and he's got a long career ahead of him in motorsports in general.
Yes.
He is also one of our instructors here this weekend for the HPDE program, which is great because especially if you're new to track driving and you're younger, sometimes it's great to have someone that's closer to your age helping explain things to you and make more sense, which I think is really great. So Matan brings a lot to Grid Life and the instructing program and in forms of entertainment in GLTC.
I agree, absolutely. Just had a shot there. Scott McGee made his debut in the championship in Mid-Ohio, and out of the 4 rounds got 3 top 10s. I really felt at home in that car at Mid-Ohio. A little bit more behind the 8 ball here, but I love the graphics on that car because it harkens back to the IMSA GTU days in the factory Mazda program that Amos Johnson and those guys ran, and it just is a nice homage to the history of the sport.
It really is great. It looks like it could have just come out of that era and just
Absolutely.
Gotten dropped onto the racetrack here at Road America. So really neat livery. And the livery game in general has stepped up significantly this year. There's a lot of fascinating and great-looking race cars on the racetrack. So under full course yellow, once again, 11 minutes complete. Generally, we have 15 to 20 minutes to run in Grid Life Touring Cup. And we'll see if we'll have a chance to restart, but my gut is telling me that I would not be surprised to see a checkered flag wave under yellow and unfortunately end this. But we will see and hope that we can get at least a lap or 2 of racing as we did this morning.
Yeah, one of the big concerns is obviously how much fuel are all the cars running, but under this long caution, they're not burning off anywhere near enough to be an issue. So they could, if they so chose, stretch this to, I think, 20 minutes, and there would be no fuel issues if there was an opportunity to get us back in racing. But as you said, that's not the important thing right now. The important thing is how things are going over there at the exit of the camp.
Yep. So, again, that car being worked on. And, of course, there's also a crew down by DJ Alessandrini, who is over in the Canada corner right now off to driver's left. And he is being attended to as well. A couple other drivers that have dropped off my timing and I think returned to pit lane. I think Eric Jensen was one of them. Emil Tabb was one of them. Woody Hyman was another driver that I think has pulled off course. Ben Harisco driving the number 4016 Griffin car. Wes Penn, Michael Kritikos, a handful of drivers I think decided, all right, let's not do this.
Right, and it may be that they had decided to take that little bit of risk, go out on slicks, and then realized, ooh, it's a little bit damper than we thought, and it's just not worth it. And obviously, these guys, you don't have that NASCAR pit crew or sports car racing or Formula One pit crew to come in and get those tires changed in a big hurry. So at that point, it was pretty much done. Once again, the Road America safety team, they are second to none, and it's very comforting for drivers to know you come to a track with this level of response. And you can see they already have Eric's car up on the back. And again, we'll give you news. It looks like that a white flag?
Yep.
Oh, boy. So we're finishing under caution.
So one more lap around here at Road America under caution. Aaron Lichty is in command. Justin Kelly second. Andy Smedegard third. Ryan Upham fourth. Jeremy Swenson fifth. So, Greg, now this final lap a bit subdued here as we make our way around.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Obviously, you never want to see a race finish under caution, but when it comes to something like this, obviously it has been deemed the right thing to do, and it's just part of the sport, obviously. And for Aaron Lichty, just getting that pass done before that caution came out, and it happened behind him, so it wasn't like he had any sense of anything. They were just racing up there, and worked out certainly in his favor at this point. Normally, I think you would see this lap be a real celebratory lap for Aaron. Even under caution, that's how it happens sometimes. And for Swenson, with that 5th place finish, that'll be the championship. But I think everybody right now have other things on their mind, and they're going to drive this lap. It's just going to be a cool-down lap, not a victory lap.
Yeah, for drivers that put their heart and soul into this week in and week out, the grit and determination that the teams and drivers have here is unmatched. I mean, in pro racing, of course, there's a lot of drivers that are the same, but it's something different when you build the car and you work on it. It's your baby. It's in your garage week in and week out. You put all your time, energy, tears, and money into it to make it work and to at least get a slice of that racing that we've all grown up with. So it hits especially hard here when you have an accident like that, and it sort of reminds everybody that at the end of the day, this hobby, this entertainment that we put on for fans and for ourselves, still has a risk associated with it. So that's one reminder to know that racing is a sport and a true one, and with that comes some risk associated with that.
Yes, exactly. It's not it's a sport, not a game, and it is a challenging one at that on a lot of levels. And the one thing is, yes, we have a race finishing under caution here. It's the last of the weekend, but one of the great things about GRIDLIFE Touring Cup is we've had 3 others that have been absolutely superb. We had one caution that didn't end that way under one. We got back in racing, so everybody's had a fair amount of racing. So there is that side to consider here, obviously. And right now, everybody just heading around behind that safety car, and we'll be bringing them into the paddock here at the end of this lap.
And a big thank you again to the Road America track and safety staff. As you mentioned, Greg, second to none. They are fantastic around here. Thanks again to the corner workers. We call these tracks pro tracks, and it's not just because they're where the pro guys run, Greg. It's because the track itself and the crew and the safety team that they have is also pro. So as we make our way around here, no update yet on, okay, looks like I'm hearing that Eric Catil is okay, which is the best news I've gotten all weekend.
Yep. Fantastic.
So as he's going to go probably get checked out just as a precaution, but as we roll up through here, that's at least some good news we have to share.
That is great news, and that might for a number of the drivers out there, they'll probably be celebrating out there, not so much their race finish, but just that news, obviously. And that's the best news you can ever possibly have. But this, obviously, it's unfortunate that this happened, and I hate to use the term damper with the moisture that's down, but this can't put a damper on the entirety of the season. It has been an absolutely spectacular season of competition.
Well, and I'm certain that Jeremy Swenson is not going to be thrilled at all with the result of this, and it's not because he's going to get the trophy for the year. He is going to walk away from 2021 as a champion, although I'm sure I'm absolutely positive he would have much rather have lost for Eric Catil to keep that car and continue on. But that's just the reality of racing, Greg. That's part of it. That's what everybody signs up for is the risk and the grandeur that is gotten by participating and beating that every time.
Well, absolutely. And you crawl, behind the wheel of a car and take it out at speed on a racetrack. Things happen. The interesting thing is you're a lot safer doing a race around here than you are driving home from the race. So that's always a perspective to keep in mind. And you get in these cars and there's roll cages and there's belts and there's all of that. So but there is risk. But that's part of the magic. I mean, virtually any sport you play, there's always a little risk, and you decide, yes, I'm willing to take that risk and go out and do it. And when you're behind the wheel of anything mechanical and hustling it around at speed, there's always risk, but the reward, the satisfaction you get from doing it, the joy for anybody that's doing it at this level, this is passion, and you love to do it.
So climbing the hill for the final time in 2021. under the not the greatest circumstances, but passing under the gantry and heading to the start-finish line. The last time the checkered flag will fly in 2021, Aaron Lichty will grab his 5th and final win of 2021 in his number 19 Porsche Cayman. In second place, Justin Kelly in the number 86, who started way at the back in race number 2, finishes second. Andy Smedegard rebounds from troubles yesterday to finish in third. Ryan Upham, 4th place, and Jeremy Swenson, who unofficially is the 2021 GRIDLIFE Touring Cup champion, finishes in 5th. Then it's Tom O'Gorman, Rob Manicherry, Luke McGrew, Micaiah Hackbarth, and Jake Jornstad, the remainder of your top 10. A couple of the drivers to mention: Matt Koval in the number 24 up 10 spots, Brad Kosaba up 10 spots, Thomas Moss, Austin Cobb, Wes Case, 10, 11, 11, 13, and 14 positions all gained by those drivers there. But again, only about a half a lap run here at Road America in this final race.
You see what I see in the back of Jeremy Swenson's Corvette rear window? It says "for sale." He's obviously got some plans for what he wants to run next year. And you know what? Now that's a champion's car. That's for sale.
Yes, so. Yeah. Down the hill to conclude our cool-down lap. That's going to do it for the streaming this season. But before we step away, Greg, there's a couple housekeeping things we've got to do.
Yes.
We've got a reminder to follow GRIDLIFE Official on Instagram and Facebook, as well as on Twitter, to make sure that you get updates on the 2022 season. You can find tickets, information, and events on grid.life. Thanks, everyone, so much for joining us. Greg, thank you so much for being here this weekend. You're awesome. And, again, as one of the true voices of North American motorsport in this has been an absolute honor to serve alongside you here this weekend and bring everything to the fans at home and here at the racetrack. Thanks so much.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. I love this series. I love this paddock, and it has been an absolute joy. It's the first time we've actually worked together, and it just feels like we've been doing this for years, and that says an awful lot. So absolutely great. Thank you so much for the invite.
Thanks so much, Greg. As we're going to head back to the racetrack now to conclude today's events. Again, thanks so much for everybody for joining all season long. The drivers, the teams, the families who have come out, the spectators, those of you at home that follow along all the live streams. If you'd like to follow along in 2022, hit the subscribe button on YouTube and follow on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter to make sure that you don't miss a thing when we go live in 2022. Big schedule changes coming. You'll see them in coming weeks. Thanks so much, everybody, and we'll see you next time for GRIDLIFE Live next year. I'm Kyle Heyer alongside Greg Kramer. We'll see you next time. GRIDLIFE Touring Cup is brought to you by FCP Euro. Every part you buy is guaranteed for life. Falken Tire, competition-proven performance. MOMO, the official safety partner of GRIDLIFE. Hawk Brakes, race-proven, street-legal. Valvoline, Valvoline VR1, available at Advanced Auto Parts stores.
We've been powering the American road since before it was paved. Our Our first breakthrough in motor oil was introducing it. And we've been reinventing it ever since. From the world's first high-mileage oil to the world's first synthetic blend. There are those who change with the times, and those who drive them. Valvoline, the original motor oil.
The Falken Azenis RT660 is the enthusiast choice for ultra-high performance. Engineered for predictable handling and stability, the RT660 provides maximum traction both on and off the track. Your competitive edge has arrived with the Falken Azenis RT660.
Hawk Performance packs 100 years of friction dynamics into every product. Backed by Carlisle Brake and Friction, the world's premier innovator of industrial brake and friction components, Hawk leverages R&D tools and motorsports experience to deliver uncompromising performance on the street. There's no reason to settle for less. Choose pads that are race proven and street legal. Find the Hawk Performance brake dealer near you at hawkperformance.com.
Here at FCP Euro, we take pride in the fact that each and every one of your orders is picked, packaged, and shipped by a fellow car enthusiast. We understand that you need the right parts and need them fast to complete that next project or get your daily driver back on the road. Take Mike, one of the smiling faces in the FCP Euro Pickup Center, who assists customers whenever they have to come in and pick up their orders. Mike has an evolving collection of BMWs, including his beautiful E30, that often require maintenance, so he understands the importance of making sure that each customer gets quality parts. But Mike also underscores our value of making sure every customer has a fantastic buying experience here at FCP Euro. To learn more about us, head to fcpeuro.com.